Hey, y'all, I'm Ebony K. Williams here, host and attorney extraordinaire. Welcome to Holding Court, where we analyze the very latest in legal headlines, the ones that got all the streets talking. You know what we do? We dig deep into how the courts impact the culture. We break it down, going straight from gavel to your news feed. And every week, we keep it 100. Right, Dustin Ross?
That's right.
Dustin Ross, my love, we're going to get into it. We know we are on Diddy Bop Goes to Trial Countdown Watch. I mean, my goodness.
That's right.
We're just days away now, days away from the commencement of the United States of America v. Sean Combs. We're here. We've been talking about it for what feels like forever. And as of Monday, May 5th, so what you call it? Cinco de Trial?
Cinco de Trial. Yeah, that's right.
Cinco de Trial is right in front of us, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to give y'all all that you need to know as we walk into Cinco de Trial. We're going to give you the very latest from a series of hearings that took place just at the end of last week, where there were some last-minute motions and things. This is very typical. Well, right before the actual trial, we just try to do a little last-minute kind of sweeping, if you will, of who's testifying, what's going to be included, what's going to be excluded by way of evidence. We have updates for y'all on that. And then after that, we will go into the Harvard v. Trump of it all, because if it seems like no one is able to stand up to Donald Trump, that would be a reasonable belief. As we have told y'all, the judiciary, the judges of America are doing their part. They're doing the best they can.
Yes.
And we have condemned, rightfully, I believe, on this show, a lot of academic institutions, including Columbia, who Dustin and I live down the street from, but Columbia has been extraordinarily disappointing in my view. And many other institutions have kissed the ring. Many big law firms, Paul Weiss, have kissed the ring. But let me tell you something, Dustin Ross, who said, fuck that ring. And your big lobby ass. Harvard, the Harvard University said we will not, and we would never.
That's right.
So we'll get into it.
And love to hear it.
Yeah. Okay, so first up, Diddy, y'all. Diddy, again, at this pretrial hearing, we had a few different things that prosecutors wanted to bring to the table. Number one, federal prosecutor told the judge that Mr. Combs may have forced some alleged victims, plural, to undergo unknown medical procedures. Now, I'll get into that in a second, but the prosecutor is basically saying to the judge, hey, we want to be able to admit into evidence that Mr. Combs, the defendant, forced some of our witnesses, the alleged victims in this case, to undergo medical treatments. And then the judge is saying, okay, well, even if that's true, connected to the charges, you got to prove relevancy, Dustin, as we know, right? Before anything can be admitted, you must be able to make the case for why it is relevant for the jurors to consider. And they're saying it's relevant to the question of Mr. Combs' ability to force and coerce his alleged victim. So they're saying this goes to coercion. And if we could introduce these forced medical procedures, it will go to bolster our argument that this man was so all-powerful, so all-knowing, so in domain of these victim women that he was able to force not just the sex abuse, not just the physical assault, not just the verbal assault, but even unwanted medical procedures onto them. Now that's not an accusation you hear every day.
It's not. It's very bizarre, and it makes me wonder what the procedures were. First of all, were they terminating pregnancies? Maybe were they treating like STDs? Maybe, or were they or were they sterilizing motherfuckers? Like, what was going on?
What was
know
the
what
procedure?
I'm saying?
Yeah, and we don't know, jurors, the specifics because that was not released in the reporting, but I think everything you put on the table, Dustin's possible. I also think something that we've heard, I don't know what the legitimate sourcing on the reporting is, but certainly many of us have heard that Sean Combs used to routinely fly in physicians and medical care experts to kind of patch up his victims, if you will, after some of these brutal beatings. I know I heard that a plastic surgeon was it's been reported on, not just I heard on the street, but it's been reported that a plastic surgeon was flown in to repair a broken nose of Kim Porter. and, things of this nature. So I think it could be any part of that spectrum. I think it could be anything from terminating pregnancies, treating STDs, repairing severe broken limbs or facial structure that were the results of the severe beatings that we have heard have taken place, and to some extent we have seen take place. Mm-hmm.
It's sad, and the police have been heavy on the no coercion from you piece when it comes to Diddy since the beginning, because remember, they didn't want to, that was one of the reasons that you shed light on them not offering him any sort of bail package or any of that shit. No matter what they presented, they were like, no, because you can be out here trying to fuck with these victims or coerce people
from
into
anywhere.
doing other shit. And they wanted to keep him
contained.
Locked in one. Yeah, contained.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. They're very, very, that's a big part of their argument, Dustin. You're exactly right. Is his ability to not only put his hands on you himself directly, but his ability to coerce other harmful behavior at his request, at his insistence. And this is going to be a major part of what we hear from the prosecutors. Just also, who can we expect to hear from? We know that Cassie Ventura will be testifying for the prosecution. She will be doing so without the veil of anonymity. She will be doing so using and standing on her name. We also, Dustin, know that at least 3 other women are expected to testify, and they will be doing so under the cloak of anonymity. They will be testifying using pseudonyms, okay? So we can expect at least that. There might be more to come, but that's what's being reported so far. This is a lot. We also know that TMZ is reporting that Diddy and his legal team are planning for their major argument to be, their major defense, for those wondering, is that, hey, our client is not a criminal. He never did anything unlawful. However, he simply enjoys participating in an unconventional sexual lifestyle known as swinging. This is the swinger's defense, literally that. And, I had a little something to say about this when I sat down with TMZ's Harvey Levin to discuss how viable I thought this defense could be. If the defense can land the plane of consent in a convincing way, I think that's a problem for the prosecutors.
When you talk about consent, what's interesting is that the 3 alleged victims were girlfriends. And if the defense can show that they were willing participants and that there was consent going into these freak-offs, doesn't that hurt the prosecution's case?
Oh, there's no case at that point. If this defense team can convincingly lay out a case that these were girlfriends and that there was consent going on, and perhaps different for us, for your average Joe and Mary on the street, but certainly not wholly atypical for a celebrity of Sean Combs' status and the life in which he is living, which is, extreme by any measure. That is why I'm saying it really is going to turn on the defense's ability to land the plane of consent, to land an argument that says that these were willing, competent, conscious adults who were engaging on their own behalf in activities that maybe you or I think are weird, or you or I think might be different, but are legal. So again, just letting y'all know, these are all updates coming from this same pretrial hearing that just took place just as recent as Friday, the 25th. So just a few days out from the start of the actual Cinco de Mayo of Sean Combs, which will be May 5th. Monday, May 5th. It is really, really no more anticipation, no more wait and see. We will be absolutely seeing, they will start with jury selection Monday, May 5th, and we will be off to the races, so to speak, on what will be the final legal say as it relates to Sean Combs. My goodness.
Wow. Can't believe we're here. But I guess when they asked him to extend the date and stop them proceedings, they told him can't stop, won't stop, motherfucker. Your ass going to trial on that day. And since you like to party so much, we're going to do it on Cinco de Mayo, motherfucker. He would take pictures in big sombreros and shit all the time on vacation.
Had the bottles flowing, get the lime Ciroc. Yeah, go ahead and
all of that shit. May the 5th. Okay, so it's sad, but hey.
Be with you. Yeah. I mean, it's sad in one way, and then in another way, to me, it's a cause for celebration. Justice is cause for celebration.
Yeah, for sure.
So we need to know what we need to know. That includes the possibility of innocence. That includes the possibility of conviction. You know, so I'm a big believer. This is probably, shocker, why I went to actual law school, not because the system always gets it right, but because there is always an opportunity for truth telling. There is always an opportunity for us to better know who and what people and systems actually are.
Yeah.
And we actually should know. We actually should know. Another thing that was discussed at this pretrial hearing, Dustin, is the admissibility of the Cassie tape. Okay. Of course, I'm talking about that horrendous, vile, heartbreaking
disgusting
tape.
ass, fucked up ass video. Yep.
That so many of us have seen, where in Los Angeles, in a Los Angeles hotel, we see Sean Combs draped in a towel, running past, chasing down Cassandra Ventura, where she's fucking shoeless, looking to escape, running for her fucking life, and he's just literally, you know, beating her and abusing her. And it was horrible, horrible to watch. So we talked about here on Holding Court. I actually believe that that video, as horrible as it is, because it is not going to prove the guilt and culpability of that particular crime, because the statute of limitations has already run out, both federally and statewide, on that particular action. I feel it is so prejudicial, because once, if I'm a juror, let me just say why I feel this way. If I'm a juror, Dustin, and I see that, I believe you're capable of anything.
1000%. I agree with you. It is the most effective piece of evidence that I'm sure they never saw coming, or
so
probably
at that
knew about
point,
whatever.
Once I see that video and it is proven to be you, baby, there ain't nothing that prosecutor, madam prosecutor, can say to me that you did that I don't believe. They could tell me that you killed JFK. I fucking believe it.
Hey, yeah.
You know,
you shot JR.
You shot JR. You killed Martin Luther. You know, you did it all. You did it all. You did everything they said you did. And that's just me. But I don't think it's just me. I think it's going to be quite a few jurors that more or less find that video so persuasive, Dustin, so
absolutely
condemning, so indicative of the, it's a certain word I want to use. It'll come to me in a second, but just so lacking of any level of humanity. Depraved. That's
depraved.
Depraved. I knew God wouldn't fail me. I knew it would come to me.
That's right, damn it.
Yeah, that you are such a depraved individual. That yes, I believe victims 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah. The judge in this case feels differently. The judge, to my surprise, actually has deemed the Cassie beating videotape admissible. So as of right now, the jurors will be seeing it in this proceeding. And to speak specifically, the judge said that they find no unfair prejudice to Mr. Combs. And maybe the emphasis there is on unfair, now that I'm reading it with fresh eyes.
Now see,
didn't say there's no prejudice, said that there's no unfair prejudice. So maybe the judge feels like all the prejudice that might ensue you have coming.
I believe that that's what that means, personally. I believe that that's exactly what that means. Like, the judge is basically saying, oh yeah, motherfucker, they gonna see this shit. You think we gonna hide this for you? Some of the decision making just feels as if the judge is talking right to us. You know what I'm saying? Like, motherfucker, y'all gonna see this shit because this is what the fuck he did. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, and I don't think it's unfair for folks to see it. Yeah. I could get with your interpretation, Dustin, and it's very interesting because, again, from my experience, especially federal judges, they normally veer extraordinarily conservative on matters like this because they don't like their rulings overturned. They don't like to be brought up on appeal, but this shit could just land different. It just might be different. Now, some of you might remember that there were questions around the kind of validity of the tape itself, right?
Yep,
I know Puff's team was alleging that it had been doctored and edited. So what they're going to do around that is they're not going to play the CNN version. So they're not going to see what we saw, Dustin, just so you know. They're going to see a presumably more authentic version of the original recording, which is on somebody's cell phone that recorded that at the actual event, at the actual time of the horrendous assault. So that's what the jurors are going to see.
And who knows? Now, will we be privy to what they saw, Ebony, or what, in addition to what we already, okay, we won't know.
Well, let me not say no, not in real time. Let me say it that way. Now, what comes out after the fact, meaning once, because obviously trial is not going to be televised, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we won't be getting it in real time the way we did with OJ and several other high profile cases. There are no cameras in this courtroom. But what you're going to get, and I'm going to tease y'all a little bit, I may or may not be a part of a major network's daily coverage of this case. Stay tuned. We're going to be possibly, somebody will be reporting on a daily basis, Dustin, coming out of that courtroom every day at 5 o'clock or whenever the court is adjourned for the day, and then will be reporting as best they can every single thing that happened, everything they saw, everything they heard, everything that was testified to, every piece of evidence that was admitted, what it sounded like, what it looked like, how long, So that's as best as people are going to get in real time. After everything is said and done and a verdict has been rendered and potentially a sentence has been delivered or whatever that is, can we expect to see photos, video, clips, samplings of some things? Possibly.
Yeah. This is getting there. It's getting real, y'all. That's all I got. It's getting real.
It's getting real.
And I'm also going to look out for Megan. What's her name, Ebony? Megan Kniff, the white girl with Megan the Bob. That is always, she's an attorney, I believe, and she's always outside of the high profile like celebrity cases.
Yes.
We got to know her, well, at least I did, during the Megan the Stallion and Tory Lane situation.
Yeah.
I'm sure she'll have her ass outside that courtroom catching all the plays and figuring out what's going on. So I'm going to tune into her voice because she pretty much thus far
Yeah. And that's important. It's very important that people get that reporting, especially in a case like this that is going to have so many layers, Dustin. It's going to have so many back and forth points by the prosecutors and the defense team. And people are going to be waiting with bated breath, every day after the day of court has been recessed. Because people want to, this is the kind of case, Dustin, where you're not going to be able to miss a day. If you miss a day, you're going to have a lot of catch up to do, a lot of catch up to do. So this is a lot. My goodness. So we will be, waiting and seeing as it relates to Cinco de Mayo. But, this is what they say, that what's done in the dark comes to the light at some point. Speaking of, just shit coming out in the wash, we know that Donald Trump has absolutely declared pure warfare on America's academic institutions, all of them, for the most part. No one has been spared, including the most esteemed of the Ivy League. We know that any and everybody that has been attacked by Donald Trump has caved. Dustin, as we said in the setup for this story, everybody from Columbia University, where he threatened to hold, I think it was like $400 million or something, and then Columbia said, "So what you want us to do again?" So that they could get access. We know Paul Weiss and many big, it was like over 15 different law firms and counting that eventually made a deal. That's what they call it. We made a deal with the president's administration to basically do exactly what the fuck he told them to do in order to get access to grants and funding. And it's really despicable to watch. It's absolutely despicable.
Despicable. When you see the real life impacts of these grossly underqualified people who are now running government agencies and government offices, it's fucking up people's lives for real. And they're literally playing with people's lives and their livelihood in front of our face. And this is some of the wildest shit I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Ever, Ebony.
And for me, what's been so wild, Dustin, is, because this is not the first time a federal agency or even a sitting U.S. president has kind of threatened, basically holding your money hostage if you don't do what you say I'm going to do. But has been staggering is the rate in which people have fallen and bent the knee to Trump. That's because the point of having, let's just use a common phrase. We all know what fuck you money is, right?
Right.
Fuck you money is exactly what it sounds like. I have enough money to where when you say some shit that you want me to do that I don't want to do, I get to say, fuck you.
Fuck you, yeah.
So I was shocked, Dustin, because to me, Columbia, they
got the damn money.
Yes. With Columbia University, who, by the way, is the largest landowner and the largest landlord, the largest owner of real estate in the entire city of New York, Manhattan
Wow.
particular.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
let's say that.
Prime real estate.
As Harlem real estate. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Residents. Columbia's endowment is 14.8, you guessed it, billion with a B. Columbia has almost $15 billion. So if that's not fuck you money, I don't know what is.
Ooh, my goodness.
So I was very disappointed, is the point of this, to see that they still felt such scarcity, clearly, so that they bent the knee when Trump threatened 400 some million. And that was very, very disappointing. And I think a lot of us, when we saw Columbia do that, thought the entire higher learning catalog was a lost, kind of a lost pursuit. I guess he really do got a handle on every fucking body. But guess who has something to say about it?
That's right.
Harvard University has something to say about it. Harvard said, Columbia might be acting like some broke motherfuckers. But guess who's
but
not?
We not. Fuck y'all. Hell yeah. I read the whole statement like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. And to their credit, maybe 15 billion is some broke motherfucking behavior when Harvard's endowment is $53 billion. $53 billion.
That is so much money.
That is insane. That is absolutely fucking insane. And the reality is, I think there's very legitimate arguments to say nobody needs that much, no school needs that much, no institution needs that much. And that's definitely another story for another day. But I will say in this moment, it's very advantageous
for Harvard that down, point it out, call it out, Abby.
Yeah, they have 50 plus billion on it because they get to define fuck you money on their terms. And they said, we actually got it. We don't need to hold nothing from you, Mr. President. We don't need to hold nothing from you, federal government. Now, the reality is they still should get the $2 billion in funding that Trump is threatening to freeze. And they so believe so that not only are they saying, fuck you, we will not compromise. And the fuck you part is not a quote, but the we will not compromise. That is a direct quote from Harvard's current president, Alan Garber.
That was my quote. But go ahead.
Yeah, the fuck you piece you can attribute to Ebony K. Williams, Esquire. The we will not compromise piece you can attribute to Harvard's president, Alan Garber. He said, we will not compromise on certain issues despite the federal government's threat to freeze more than $2 billion in funding. And let's be clear, even when you're sitting on $53 billion, $2 billion is still important.
Absolutely.
It's so important to Harvard, Dustin, that they are actually suing. They have filed suit against Donald Trump and this administration for what they are calling an absolute illegal overreach of federal authority. And they're saying it's an illegal attempt by the federal government to withhold funding as leverage to control academic decision-making. And that is exactly what it is. That is exactly what it is. Garber also went further, current president of Harvard, to say, we are defending what I believe is one of the most important linchpins of the American economy and way of life, which is our universities. So good on you, sir. Good on you, sir.
Very, very good. And it's about time somebody told them niggas to kiss their ass. You know what I'm saying? It's about time somebody stood up to them, is the point that I'm making, and offered some sort of resistance. When you're dealing with someone who is power hungry and drunk off of that energy and drunk off of the power dynamic, the best thing you can do is destabilize that power, right? And challenge it in some way. So this is exactly what we need. And we need more people who are willing to do this, more companies, organizations. You see Target was crying to Al Sharpton. We talked about that. You know what I mean? But this is what we need. We need people saying, no, we're not going for the bullshit, instead of coming to us crying after they went for the bullshit and telling us that we didn't mean it like that.
Right,
so,
that's some bullshit.
Kudos, Harvard. Yeah.
Kudos, Harvard. And really, I really need Columbia. I need Paul Weiss. I need Target. I need motherfuckers who've already bent the knee to understand that compliance, caving, does not do anything but beget more compliance.
Yeah.
More caving. It's going to only incentivize the bully, in this case, of course, Donald Trump and his cronies, to fuck you over even more because now you have given them permission, literal permission to do so. And of course, like we would expect on the actual playground, now that Harvard has stood up and said, we're actually the big dog. I think you fucking forgot. More on that in a minute. Now Columbia, along with Princeton and other 150 university college presidents, actually, they want to be in the background like, yeah. Now y'all co-signing a letter, trying to, show some act right, trying to demand that the Trump administration, do right by the universities and the students. But after when it was up to you, when you were on the front line of leadership, you tucked your tail between your legs and you went home to cry about it.
Let's talk about that part.
So
say the
that's
quiet
cool.
part out loud.
That's cool, Columbia. Glad to see you signing on to the letter now that Harvard has drawn the actual crimson line in the sand.
Mm-hmm.
You really wouldn't be able to tell me shit. Like, if it was, like, you know what I mean? Because people are going to remember this. This is really going to remember. And for those wondering, Dustin, what is it exactly that Trump wanted Harvard to do so much that he was dangling a $2.2 billion carrot in front of them if they didn't do it? Well, it's just a few things like restructuring the entire leadership to make sure that they all are accountable to the administration's desires. Prioritizing, quote, merit-based criteria over, which is code for white. It literally is. It's code for making sure that they place legacy and other kind of white-favoring programs over literally diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. Quote, assessing ideological diversity of staff and students, basically saying putting more conservative viewpoints at the table and in charge. Enforcing tougher penalties on protesters, so anybody that dares to exercise their First Amendment shall be met with brute force. Strengthening the screening of international students and faculty for, quote, American values, so allowing active discrimination against non-whites at the university. This is what it is. And Harvard actually said, get somebody else to do it.
100%.
Get somebody else
Harvard
to
don't give
do
a
it.
fuck.
Yeah, Harvard actually, and I said this at dinner with some friends, and I said, fuck it, I'll say it on the mic. Harvard just out-whited Trump. That's all. Yeah.
Ebony, that's exactly what they did. I see your whiteness and raise you
15
chaperone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yes.
Quite literally. You and your daddy could take it back to Queens, motherfucker, because this is Cambridge.
Yep.
I don't know what the fuck
How
you
about
thought
that?
this was.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck you thought this was, but we run it back to the 1700s at least. Might be the 1600s. So I don't know what the fuck you thought it was with your country ass.
Damn.
But we're actually much whiter than you. And if you forgot, you learned today.
They're not having it. Good to see it. Good kudos, Harvard.
Yeah. They literally out-whited his ass, and I love to see it. I absolutely love to see it.
And did it in one of the blackest colors on earth. They'll say, how you gonna out-white him in burgundy, which is one of the blackest colors on earth. We love burgundy. We don't call it crimson. We don't call it aubergine. Burgundy.
Burgundy.
Okay, and that's that Harvard burgundy. Yes.
Yeah, that's that Harvard. But it's really also that Harvardy's burgundy, because if you know about it, you'll get you a good burgundy sofa from Harvard.
Let's talk about Harvardy's. Ebony. So yes, good job, Harvard. More of that. Y'all got the damn money. Use it to fight. Good job, Harvard.
Yes. And just for those who were keeping track, they absolutely out-whited his ass. They were founded in 1636.
No, they was real white back then.
In Cambridge, Massachusetts, baby. Trump, child, you and your daddy could never. Y'all just not white enough. Just not white enough. So that's it.
How about that? You orange, now you colored, motherfucker. Yeah. Get your orange ass out of here. It's Harvard white.
It's Harvard white, baby. Yeah, we're going to really show you how this white, supremacist, capitalistic shit go.
That's right. My dick may be little, but I'm going to throw it on the table anyway. That's what Harvard said. So I love this.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it. Love to see it. So something to feel good about jurors. There are not a lot, but a few brave and able that can push back on this bullshit, and we're absolutely going to encourage them to keep doing it.
We're going to celebrate their efforts. That's what
we're going to celebrate their efforts. I will just offer a quick line on some of y'all were tagging Dustin and I when you saw Trump come out last week talking about he's going to save HBCUs again, and he's the champion of HBCUs, and he's going to put HBCUs back under the banner of the White House directly versus when it was under the banner of the Department of Ed, of course, under every other preceding administration. And for some of y'all wondering, like, is this a Jedi mind trick? Is this something we should celebrate and feel good about? Shocker. No, it's not. No, it's not. Let me tell you what this is. This is nothing more than what Trump did with the opportunity zones that several people got excited about and that fake ass platinum plan. This is simply Trump saying, hey, blacks, that I told y'all didn't have nothing to lose. I'm going to rhetorically claim concern and intention around your institutions and businesses and neighborhoods, okay? In this case, the HBCUs, like I said, opportunity plans in the neighborhoods and businesses. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure you all get the money you need and deserve. And you know how I'm going to do it? I'm going to take the routing of the money y'all need and deserve out of the public sector. So I'm going to take it away from government and I'm going to run it through the private sector. And some folks might hear that, Dustin, and feel like that's cause for celebration because, you know, there's a lot of narrative around waste with the federal government and, you know, things getting backlogged and not moving fast enough or moving at all. And there's some of that, of course. But this promise of the private sector, quote unquote, especially the private sector under the command of Donald Trump, being the answer, knock it the fuck off. Let me just say it plain, y'all. This is Trump making sure that his literal friends, people that literally put millions and millions of dollars into his campaign, into his inauguration. So this is Meta. This is Elon Musk. This is also a long list of multi-billionaires and millionaires whose names y'all will never know. They're going to get their pockets padded with the money. So it'll look like this, for example. Okay, so now the HBCUs will be back under the White House initiative. HBCUs need food, right, on campus for their institution. Well, now that it's going to be under the White House, Trump and his administration get to handpick the vendors that will be providing the food. That will be a better example is they need new dorms and new buildings, right? They will guess who those contracts are going to go to. Trump's white supremacist friends. So that's all it is, y'all. This is a rerouting, a redirecting of the money. So it's not necessarily that the HBCUs are going to directly benefit. It's just saying that the shit that y'all were going to get anyway, now I can personally redirect and make sure that the white supremacist ideological motherfuckers that support me get paid. They are going to get cashed out with the money that was going to go to HBCUs anyway, because it's never Trump that gives anything to these HBCUs. It wasn't even Obama or Biden. It is the United States Congress. Let's be fucking clear, because Congress controls the purse strings. Now, Trump will get his ass on the mic and brag and talk about it better than any other president, which is why people get confused, Dustin. But the money itself,
what he caused and what he did.
Yes, he's very, very good at taking credit. I'm gonna give him that. Joe Biden and that administration was horrible at taking credit for the things that they did right. Obama didn't really take enough credit for the things that he did right. We had more severe border control. They called it the far left progressives called Obama the deporter in chief.
Right.
But because it didn't sound so good to some parts of the Democratic base, we never heard about the fact that Barack Obama was extraordinarily efficient at deporting those that didn't have their paperwork in order as it related to immigration. So that's another story for another day. You know, now we're talking about political messaging, right, and balancing what messages land with certain parts of your base and different. But Trump is great at taking credit for shit that he actually didn't do or doesn't do in a condition, in a format or a condition that benefits who it sounds like it benefits. So this is just another example of that.
Yeah, it's another example of an extreme lie on his behalf. The way he blames other people, you know, with these outlandish lies, blaming Obama for shit that he wasn't responsible for. It's the same way he takes credit for things that he had nothing to do with. Just like he took credit for the young man, Deion Sanders' son, getting drafted yesterday. He said he took credit for that.
He's inserted himself in that shit.
Just weird shit like that. It's just more of the same. And sometimes it gets difficult to kind of filter out what bullshit you need to be paying attention to versus that you don't. But this is something that you definitely need to be paying attention to.
Yeah, so don't get confused.
These lies matter.
Yeah, don't get confused. Don't get excited. The HBCUs were getting this money anyway because it had been passed in a bipartisan way years ago. Trump moving this under his direct authority as the White House and executive branch versus the DOE is simply saying, I'm going to make sure my people get paid as these Negroes get this money. That's all it is. That's all it is. And that's it. And that's all. Look at troops. You know, we love and appreciate y'all. We really, really, really do. Cool. These have been, some intense news cycles the last several weeks and months. So I just want to say I thank you and I appreciate you for riding with us here at Holding Court.
Yes.
For sticking with Dustin and myself as we comb through this shit and really do our very, very, very best to make sure y'all get everything y'all need to know.
That's right. And we will continue to do that.
We will. In the meantime, what you want the people to do, Dustin?
Okay, so read your terms and conditions.
Holding Court is produced by Uppity Production. Host and executive producers here, Ebony K. Williams, yours truly, and the Dustin Ross. Executive producer in Dossie, McCraw. We've also got our senior producer, Ashley Hobbs. And follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any and everywhere you get your podcasts.